in the morning before I speak, I never speak with notes. So in the morning, before I go to speak somewhere, I spend my time trying to get Walter out of the way so that I can hear, because I want to let the consciousness of the people that are there bring forth whatever's they want to hear or need to hear or whatnot. So if I give a bad talk, it's your fault. You know, most speakers, when they start here or someplace, they'll say how happy they are to be here. Well, today, I'm happy to be anywhere. And that's because I had a vision over 20 years ago. I'm happy, not just because I'm 87 years old and I don't have an acre of pain, but I'm happy because I had a vision, sort of an epiphany. I was an officer in the Navy in the Second World War, and I went up to New York. Well, I might as well tell this part of the story, too. And I was taking things to pep me up and things to calm me down. This is 1945. And so one night I was down in the village, and I'd had a little bit too much to know I was drunk. And, I was going through a little sort of alley to get to the subway, and I was mugged. And my new coat taken off, and I had enough change in my pocket to get home. And the next day, I couldn't look for work because I had a black eye and a bruised face and so forth. So I lay there for several days in this little room where I woke up with a rat on my chest one morning. And it was like a dam opening, and the muddy water came out. And it said the equivalent of the cause of all the problems in the world. Personal problems, the world's problems, all. And so I have spent my lifetime working on the solution to the problem. So this morning, when I was meditating, just sitting here, and I was saying, what am I? Because I don't usually talk about what I'm going to start talking about right now, because usually I'm off into some metaphysics, and this gets right back to the roots of our Judeo-Christian message. And that is, the whole answer, really, the whole problem and the whole answer is right in Genesis, when Eve ate of the apple. You know, the serpent said, "You silly little witch, eat of this fruit, and then ye shall be as the gods." And she said, "Oh, I'm not good enough. Give me that fruit. I want to be better." And there came good and evil and bad and right and wrong and so forth. In other words, she separated herself from self-love. Self-love, I promise you, is at the core of every single problem we have. I mean, right to today, is when we, and this has been caused, I hate to say this, but the real villain has been religion. All the world's religions. Now, I've been around the world 5 times, and I've spent time in Hindu monasteries, Zen monasteries, and so forth. And all religions, except perhaps some of the indigenous religions that don't get into, they feel this oneness that Rudolph was just talking about without it being intellectual. But anyway, all the world's religions say that there is a supreme being, an omnipotent power, call it Brahm, call it Allah, call it God, whatever you want to call it. And then they all make the same mistake and lead us astray, because they all say, you got to get rid of your humanity. You've got to either lock it into a theology to live it for you, or a man-made morality, or put it in a convent or in a cave, or anyway, get rid of your humanity. Your humanity is the villain. And as long as you think of that, you can't hear what Rudolph just ended his meditation with, that I am the presence. How can you believe you are the presence if there's a you that you've got to get rid of? So what the church has not done is, what's the purpose of your humanity? If God is the only power and the only creation, then God created your humanity as well as anything else. So it isn't a matter of getting rid of it. It's what's it here for? It's only, you see, I'm both man of earth and man of God. It's not one or the other. That's why I call my stuff double think, because I'm constantly, for instance, right now, there's Walter here popping his chops, and there's me over here sort of sending some words to him. And I got news for you. If this me up here doesn't give me down here some words, I'm in trouble because I have to hear it. That's why I don't speak with notes, because then it would be mental and it wouldn't be from spirit. Well, anyway, so what is the purpose of our humanity, of that dimension of our being? It's our school. It's the way we grow. Listen, there isn't a person in this room who is here because of your spirituality. You're here because of your humanity. In other words, you had human needs that weren't being satisfied, and you said, I've got to find more answers. I've got to go. And then you found the celebration circle as a way to answer it. So in other words, your humanity is your divinity. You're here because of your humanity. See? So they're really one. They're just two different sides of the one coin. And so this is what we're here for. Now, also, every one of us in this room can look back on all of the difficulties we've had, and you can pick your greatest disappointment, hurt, or whatever it is in your life, and if you really look at it, you'll find it was your greatest learning experience. You know, there isn't a creative act, I don't care what it is, whether it's a painting or whatnot, that doesn't take what looks like an act of destruction. If I want to throw a pot, I've got to rip the clay out of the ground. If I want to paint a painting, I have to squeeze the paint out of the tubes. It's always process. So we have to get to the point to where we know, I can't judge. And this comes right to this home base right now, because we see this war in Iraq and those things. So humanly, we want to say, oh gosh, where is God? Well, I got news for you. As an extension of religion, we've got to get over God. I mean, this sounds terrible. Oh, the other day I wrote something and I looked at it and I said, oh, I can't say that. And it said, God is an invention of the devil. Now, what I meant by that was the concept of God as something other than your own being, as something off over there that's keeping score and telling you what to do. Yes, what I call God exists. This morning on the way here, on the radio, maybe some of you heard it, on public access, there was a discussion about Einstein and the word God and how it's used so many different ways. And that's the problem. Here we've got Iraq, and both sides are talking about God's telling them to kill each other. I mean, how crazy this is, you know? It's that concept of God as something out there, apart from you, apart from your own consciousness and your own being. But realizing that you are the presence of God is another thing.